작가님 먼저 반갑습니다. 수상 축하드리고 인사 말씀 한마디 부탁드리고 싶습니다.
Thank you very much, and I'm very happy, very honored to be here and to receive this prize that has a very, I think it's very important today to honor diaspora literature. Very important to honor the people who live from their country and to tell about this experience. The distance that we have with our mother country and the way we can describe it after some years and the space distance, but also the experience of immigration, and that's at the heart of my novel.
네, 저희가 이 문학상이 디아스포라 문학상이잖아요. 근데 디아스포라라는 것을 문학의 테마로 삼는 작가분들이 꽤 많이 있고 전 앞으로 더 많이 늘어날 거라는 생각도 하고 있습니다. 한국의 작가들도 그런 테마에 굉장히 관심을 많이 갖고 쓰고 있는 것으로 알고 있거든요. 근데 이런 테마를 주제로 한 문학상이라는 것이 부천시에서 운영하고 있는 이 디아스포라 문학상이 유일한 것으로 알고 있습니다. 그래서 앞으로 더 이 문학상의 운영이 기대가 됩니다. 리시버 많이 받으셨을 텐데요. 1번 채널이 한국어이고 2번 채널이 영어로 통역되어 나오고 있습니다. 작가님 한국에 방문이 이번이 처음은 아니신 것으로 제가 알고 있습니다. 얼마 만에 방문하신 건지, 시상식 외에는 다른 어떤 일정 가지고 계신지 등등 좀 궁금하고요. 그리고 이제 저도 한국 문학을 담당하는 편집자로 일을 하다 보니까 해외 작가분들 만날 기회가 되면 혹시 한국 문학이나 문화에 관심이 좀 있으신지 궁금하더라고요. 이제 이렇게 좀 두루 여쭤보면서 시작해볼까 합니다.
So yes, it's my third time in Korea. The first time I came here, I think it was in 2017, just after the Prix Goncourt, and I came back also in 2019, I think. I don't have a very good memory, so sorry. I don't remember dates or names. And of course, yes, I have interest for all kinds of literature, and I have interest, of course, for Korean literature also.
일단 부천의 디아스포라 문학상 수상 소식을 처음 접하셨을 때 어떠셨는지 수상 소감을 좀 독자분들에게도 나눠주시면 좋을 것 같고요. 그리고 이게 특히나 디아스포라 문학상이라는 그 테마가 있는 문학상이다 보니까 좀 더 특별하게 생각하실 것 같아서 앞에 인사 말씀도 좀 그 덧붙여서 말씀해 주셨지만 조금 더 상세하게 설명해 주실 수 있다면 좋겠습니다.
First, I felt very surprised and very moved by the idea that my book could have a prize here in Korea, and that my characters called Aisha, Mehdi, Amin, Moroccan people could have a life here in the soul and in the heart of Korean readers. And I think that for a writer, it's always something that is very moving, the idea that your characters are going to travel, because it's something that I experienced myself as a reader. When I was young in Morocco and I was reading Russian novels, American novels or whatever, and I was identifying myself to them and not taking into account the fact that those people were very different from me in terms of religion, culture, and language. So I love this idea that in literature there are no borders and that we can cross the border very, very easily. So I was very happy for that, and I was very happy also to make my children jealous because I was going to go to Korea and they can't come with me because they are at school, but they love Korean culture so much, so I think that they are very jealous of me this weekend.
예, 작가님 본인뿐만 아니라 가족분들께도 굉장히 기쁜 소식이 되었습니다. 여러분도 느끼시겠지만 한국의 문화가 이렇게 세계로 퍼져나가고 또 그렇게 세계의 다른 좋은 작가님들이 한국에 이렇게 오시고 하는 기회가 늘어난다는 것 자체가 제가 어렸을 때랑도 또 많이 달라진 부분이고요. 제가 올해로 19년 차 편집자인데 처음에 편집자로 일할 때는 상상하기 어려운 일이었습니다. 그래서 굉장히 또 뜻깊다고 생각을 하게 되고요. 디아스포라 문학상이라는 것이 방금 작가님 말씀해 주신 것처럼 자신의 문학을 사랑하는 사람들 대부분이 자신의 정체성을 형성해 가거나 돌아보거나 자신의 정체성에 대해 돌아보거나 하는 작업을 꾸준히 하기를 좋아하는 사람들이라는 생각이 들고, 디아스포라라는 게 단순히 어떤 민족의 문제, 국가의 문제가 아니라 그 개인 안에서의 경계를 탐구하는 것에도 저는 이제 작은 의미의 디아스포라가 그것에도 적용이 된다고 좀 생각을 하는 편이거든요. 그래서 작가님의 기존 작품들을 읽으면서도 저의 정체성 탐구에도 많은 영향을 받았었습니다. 그래서 오늘 굉장히 영광스럽게 생각을 하고 있고요. 그러면 이제 작품 이야기를 조금 더 나눠볼게요. 수상작인 타인들의 나라가 어떤 작품인지 읽고 오신 분들 많으시겠지만 작가가 직접 설명하는 자신의 작품 이야기가 저는 늘 좀 궁금해서 작가님께 한번 직접 자신의 작품 소개를 좀 부탁드려보고 싶어요. 타인들의 나라는 어떤 소설인가요?
So, this book, Le Pays des Autres, is the first part of a trilogy that I wrote about a family and about a relationship between Morocco and France between the end of the Second World War and today. And in this book, this is the first generation, a generation inspired by my grandparents. So you have a couple, Mathilde and Amine. Mathilde looks very much like my grandmother. She comes from Alsace, and at a very young age, at the end of the war, she meets a soldier, a Moroccan soldier. That's the first time for her that she meets an African, that she meets someone who is not from France, and she falls in love with him passionately, and she decides to follow him to Morocco. And she's a very brave woman. She's very passionate, but also very naive in a way, because she's only 19 or 20 years old. And I think she imagines at the beginning that she will arrive in Morocco, that she will marry this man who has a farm. He told her that he has a farm. And she probably thinks that she's going to live something like the African farm of Karin Blixen, you know, that she's going to have a big house and domestic, and that life will be easy and in a sunny country. But of course it will not be at all like this, and it will be a very difficult journey for Mathilde, as she will understand that she arrives in a country with a very different culture, a country where her husband is a different man from the one she met in France, because once he is in his country under the French colonization, he is a humiliated man, and he is also very patriarchal. He is sometimes very violent towards her and towards the children. And so that's also the story of their children, Aisha and Selim, and how it was at that time to be what we call mixed-race children. It was something that was quite scandalous in the colonized Moroccan society, because French people considered that it, of course, was not good for a white woman to marry an Arab. And Moroccan people thought also that someone like Amin would betray his country and his culture by marrying a French woman. So this couple is very isolated. They live in this farm, and they try to raise their two children in a very tense and difficult time in Moroccan history.
역시 이제 작가님의 설명으로 들으니까 제가 읽은 소설이 장면이 이렇게 막 떠오르면서 한번 정리가 됐던 것 같습니다. 방금 말씀 주신 것처럼 아민과 마틸드라는 이 소설의 주요 등장인물은 작가님의 외조부의 삶에서 모티프를 딴 것으로 알고 있습니다. 근데 이제 가족의 역사, 굉장히 이제 개인적인 역사일 텐데, 그렇게 실제 가족사와 그것을 이제 문학적인 상상력을 가미해서 작품으로 만들 때 그게 그냥 그대로 옮긴다고 되는 문제가 아니잖아요. 그 사이의 경계를 어떻게 좀 무엇에 유념하시고 어떤 것에 좀 유의하셔서 쓰셨는지 여쭤보고 싶어요.
You know, I think it came very naturally. I didn't have to make any kind of effort to transcend the reality and create fiction, because I think that those characters of Amine and Mathilde, and I mean, my grandparents were already characters for me. They were already characters of a novel, of a fiction. Because my grandmother, she would tell a lot of stories. She was a very funny woman, and she was a very big liar. She would lie all the time. And she would tell a lot of anecdotes, and the anecdotes were very different each time. And she was, you know, testing us. If we didn't laugh, she would change the anecdote and change the end. So I'm not sure I know exactly the life of my grandmother, but to be honest, I don't really care. What I know is the life my grandmother wanted to have, the life she dreamt of having, the fantasy she created in her head and she tried to transmit to me. So I didn't want to write a book about my grandmother's life. I wanted to give the opportunity to my grandmother to have the life she wanted to have. So this book is my way of giving her that, of imagining a life bigger than the one she had. And I think also that I was so much fascinated by them that in my head as a child I had like a little movie of their life. My grandfather, he would always tell me about the war. My grandfather had a big scar from here to here because he was in a camp in Germany during the war, and he fled from the camp, and so he cut himself, so he had a big scar. And when I was very young, I asked him, what is this scar? Where did you get this from? And he didn't want to talk to me about the war. So he looked at me and he said, oh, you know, it's a tiger. I was attacked by a tiger when I was young in a forest. And I was sure for many, many years that my grandfather was attacked by a tiger. And I would tell that to my friends. And they would, of course, make fun of me, saying, you're a liar. It's impossible. And one day when I was older, my grandfather said, okay, it's a lie. But it doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that for many years you believed that, and you believed that I was able to survive to a tiger. So I think that's the lesson my grandparents told me, that sometimes when you are passionate about fiction, what matters is not the truth, I mean the truth in terms like what really happened, but another kind of truth, something that talks to the heart, something that talks to your soul, a sort of sincerity.
네, 굉장히 좀 흥미진진하면서도 작가님의 문학문, 상상론 전반에 대해서 말씀을 해주신 것 같아요. 그래서 이야기가 어떻게 태어나는지부터 그 이야기를 만들게 한 사람에게 또 어떤 영향을 미치는지, 그것은 사실은 작가님과 작가님의 조부모뿐만이 아니라 그것을 읽은 여기 모여있는 우리 독자들에게도 해당이 되겠죠. 그래서 어떤 이야기가 실제로 있었느냐도 중요하지만 어떤 이야기를 우리가 믿고 싶어 하는가, 그것에 대해서 확실히 작가들이 많이 물어보고 그것을 또 좋은 소설로 쓰는구나 다시 한번 생각해 보게 되었습니다. 소설 초반에 되게 중요하게 나오는 문장 중에 여기서는 다 그렇게 해 라고, 사실 한국어판 뒷표지에도 그 문장이 굉장히 중요하게 발췌가 되어 있습니다. 여기서는 다 그렇게 해. 이 말을 그녀는 앞으로 자주 듣게 된다. 되게 의미심장하죠? 그녀가 어떤 상황에 처해 있는지 독자가 책을 펼치기에 전에는 잘 알지 못하지만 여기서는 다 그렇게 해 라는 다소 강압적인 그 문장이, 아, 내가 여기서는 타인이구나, 내가 여기서는 이방인이구나를 확실하게 깨닫게 하는 마치들에게 첫 번째 그런 순간이지 않았나 싶습니다. 사실 작가님도 작가로서, 여성으로서, 그리고 특별한 가족 개인사적인 경험을 가진 분으로서 비슷한 순간을 많이 맞이하셨지 않았을까? 그래서 이런 장면을 쓰지 않으셨을까 싶은데요. 혹시 어떤 경험에 바탕을 둔 건지, 어떤 감정에서 나온 장면인지 여쭤보고 싶습니다.
You know, I think I tried to use my own experience of an immigrant. I immigrated from Morocco to France when I was 19 years old. And I think this is the kind of sentence that you hear when you move from one place to another, not only from one country to another, but also from a social class to another. Imagine that you come from a poor social class and you go to the bourgeois. They will tell you if they look at how, I don't know, how you dress or how you eat, they will say it's not working like this here. You have to respect the rule. This idea that when you move from one place to another, you have to respect other rules. And that people who know the rules will sometimes use it against you, or will sometimes be condescending towards you, or that you will feel humiliated. It's not always the case, but sometimes. And yeah, I tried to feel what Mathilde could have felt when she arrived in Morocco, and of course also to also have empathy for Amin, because he needs her to understand. He wants her to adapt. He wants her to understand that there are some things that she can't do anymore, that she has to change. And that's what is so difficult with immigration. People talk in Europe, they talk about immigration as if this word was easy to understand, as if they were talking about a very easy reality. But immigration is so complex. Everything is changing in you. Your own body is changing because you live in a country where the climate is not the same. You don't eat the same. Sometimes the color of your skin change. The way you dress will change. The way you walk, everything changes. The way you talk, your voice is not the same in another language than in your own language. People look at you because you look different. And in your country, of course, you look like everyone else. So I wanted to, also to be in an empathy with both characters, to try to embrace both point of view. I don't want to judge one of my characters because I think I understand Amin also. He feels that it's if they want to survive, she will need to adapt and she will need to understand the rules, because if it takes too long, she will suffer and he will suffer. So yeah, there are survivors, both of them, there are survivors.
네. 참 유명한 장면들이 많은 소설입니다. 그런데 이렇게 뭐랄까 방금 말씀해주신 것처럼 단순히 어떤 내가 속해 있는 지역의 이동, 국가의 이동뿐만이 아니라 어떤 내 사회적 계층, 문화의 변화, 그 안에서 단순히 내가 생각하는 방식만 바뀌는 게 아니라 나의 몸 자체가 변하는 것, 그것에 대해서는 사실 이제 한국은 대부분 한국에서 태어나서 한국에서 자라는 많은 사람들이 살고 있는 나라이기 때문에 그렇게 직접적으로 느낄 일은 많지 않았는데, 책이나 말씀 주신 것을 통해서 몸 자체가 변한다는 것에 대해서 오늘 좀 처음 저는 느껴보는 것 같습니다. 근데 이거는 약간 좀 번외 질문이 아니어서 약간 좀 중요한 질문일 텐데, 결국은 그 마틸드와 아민이 그 모든 것을 무릅쓰게 한 것은 사랑의 힘이었잖아요. 그들이 전쟁 중에 만나기도 했고 나이가 어리기는 했지만, 그리고 앞으로 어떤 일들을 겪게 될지 전혀 알지 못했지만 그런 사랑의 힘으로 두 사람이 뭔가 해보겠다라고 이제 서바이버가 되기로 결심을 한 거죠. 사랑이 그걸 가능하게 하나요? 너무 대단한 것 같습니다.
Or just the beginning, because then it's more complicated than that. No, love helps, of course, and there is not only love between those two characters, but I think a sort of passion also. Something that is difficult to define because very often they don't even need words. They don't talk a lot. There is a physical passion, a sexual passion between them. They are very, very much attracted to one another. They love each other, but I think that there is also in the middle of the book some detestation and violence, and sometimes both of them, they question their choice. Was I right to leave my country and to come live with this man that at the end I don't really know, who is so different? Amin also, so at one point he thinks, but what would be my life if I decided to marry like a traditional Moroccan woman with whom I could share the same culture and the same language? So their couple will be a very difficult journey, but toward you in the third part, we can see that, as you said, love helped a lot. Not only love between them, but the mutual love they have for the land, the love they have for their children, the love they have also. They are they will become very spiritual, religious people, love for God. So it's not only love between the couple. It's a certain vision of the world and a certain vision of life and love for the family in general.
네, 저희 어떤 의문에 현답을 주신 것 같아요. 사실은 사랑이라는 것이 굉장히 거창하고 위대한 첫 번째 가치로 많이 거론이 되지만 방금 말씀 주신 것처럼 들으면서 생각한 것은 그런 단어가 있기 때문에 오히려 굉장히 복잡한 인간의 삶을 사랑이라는 단어 하나에 고정해버리는 걸 수도 있겠다. 사실은 그것은 전부도 아닐 뿐더러 그걸로는 다 설명할 수 없는 굉장히 복잡한 레이어가 인생에 많은데 오히려 그 단어가 우리를 속박하는 걸 수도 있겠다 이런 생각도 조금 듭니다. 방금 말씀 주신 것에 이어서 여쭤보자면 이제 제목 이야기를 여쭤보고 싶어요. 작가들에게 작품의 제목이라는 것은 사실 굉장히 상징적인 의미를 가질 수밖에 없을 텐데요. 이 작품 속에는 타인, 나와 이제 타인 이렇게 구분짓는 다양한 요소들이 나옵니다. 식민 국가와 피식민 국가가 나오고 유럽과 아프리카 그리고 흑인과 백인 그리고 이슬람교와 기독교 등등 우리 그 세계에 퍼져 있는 정말 많은 그런 구분선들이 이 두 남녀의 만남으로 응축되어서 잘 보여지고 있어요. 그 특히 레일라 슬리마니 작가님이 기존에 해오신 작업들에서도 중요한 것이 이제 여성들의 삶, 남성들 위주의 어떤 식민적이고 가부장적인 삶 속에 속박되어 있는 여성의 삶에 대해서 굉장히 주의 깊게 들여다보시잖아요. 그래서 그것에서도 역시 타인들이라는 의미가 되게 중요하게 담겨 있는 것 같습니다. 작가님 제목 이야기를 좀 들려주시면 좋을 것 같아요.
It took me a long time to find this title. I always find the titles of my book at the end. And I remember that my publisher called me and he said, okay, now it's the last day. Tomorrow I really need to have a title because we need to make the book and we need to fabricate the cover. So you have to give me a title. And I was not satisfied with all the idea that I had before. And I remember that I was in the kitchen talking to my husband and telling him, oh, but because it's about character who live in the country of others. And he looked at me and he said, okay, so you have your title. You just said the country of others, that's the good title. So to be really honest, this title was found by my husband and not by me. So this is the good things with love, that sometimes you can find a good title. But once I found it, it became very clear to me that it could be a good summary for everything I'm trying to say in this book. Because the country of others could be the definition of colonialism. You live in a country and your country is not your country anymore. It's the country of others. When you immigrate, like Mathilde, you arrive in a country that is not your country. It's the country of others. As a woman, very often you feel that you live in the country of others, the country of men. But it's also something that could define a division between children and adults. Children are very important also in the book. And I think that as a child, I felt very often that I was living in the country of others, the adults who decide everything. So yes, I think that it conveys this feeling of otherness, this feeling of being an alien, a stranger somewhere, because you're not you're in another social class, in another country, you're too old or too young, you feel that you don't belong, you feel marginalized, you feel that you're in the country of others.
이제 방금 말씀 주신 것처럼 어른과 아이에 대해서도 역시 진짜 이 작품에서 굉장히 중요하게 나와 있었는데 제가 그 부분을 미처 놓친 것 같아요. 그래서 아이들이 바라봤을 때 어른 역시 굉장히 거대한 존재이면서 알 수 없는 타인들이 있다라는 또 생각이 듭니다. 사실 한국이나 모로코나 다 식민 경험이 있는 역사를 가진 나라이기 때문에 이 작품이 조금 더 남다르게 다가오신 분들도 많으실 것 같아요. 그래서 작가님이 생각하시기에 이 작품이 한국의 독자들에게 특히 어떻게 좀 다가가면 좋겠다 좀 생각하시는 게 있으신지 여쭤보고 싶습니다.
You know, I don't believe, I really think that that a writer is not here to deliver a message. He's not here to say you have to think this or this is like this or like that. That's not my goal. My goal is to ask questions, to try to share some fears that I have, to share also something that I don't understand. The fragility of life, our vulnerability, and what I would love is my reader to feel empathy for not only for the character but for the whole situation, and I would love them to forget in a way that those characters are Moroccan, that at the end it's just people with feeling, with fears, with love, with desire, and that this feeling of common humanity, of universality could come from this book. That's what I would love. And you know, before you were talking of the autobiographical inspiration of this book, and very often people ask me, but this book is talking of you, no? And I always want to ask them, but it's not what matters the most. And what matters is it's talking about you, about the reader. So the important person in the book is not me once the book is finished. It's the reader. And I hope that every reader here in Korea or somewhere else will find their place in the book and will find a way to feel empathy for the characters.
네, 어떤 타인에 대해서 연민을 하고 공감을 느끼는 것의 중요성은 사실은 작가님도 방금 말씀해 주셨지만 21세기에 진짜 이렇게 굉장히 어지러운 세계에 사는 우리에게 점점 더 중요해지는 가치가 아닐까 싶습니다. 근데 그것이 되게 좀 모호할 수 있는데 사실은 좋은 문학 작품을 읽는 것만큼 그것을 즉각적으로 경험할 수 있는 게 또 없지 않나 싶기도 해요. 저는 소설을 읽을 때 제가 이제 1980년대에 태어난 수도권에서 태어난 한 4인 가정의 첫 번째 딸로서 살아온 저의 인생이 너무 한정적이라는 생각을 굉장히 많이 하거든요. 그래서 완전히 다른 시공간, 완전히 다른 타인들의 나라에서 살아보는 나를 궁금해할 때 소설을 읽고는 합니다. 그것이 지금의 여러분들도 많이 느끼시겠지만 지금의 나 자체로만 존재하는 것을 넘어서서 다른 사람들의 삶에 진짜로 관심을 갖게 하는 중요한 역할을 할 거라고 생각을 해요. 그래서 읽으신 분들 대부분 계시겠지만 혹시 타인들의 나라를 아직 안 읽으셨다면 즐겁게 읽으셨으면 좋겠고요. 방금 말씀 주신 것처럼 이제 소설이라는 게 어떤 구체적인 인물의 삶을 잘 담아서 어떤 캡슐처럼 보관하는 것 같아요. 그래서 독자들 손에 이렇게 각각 그 캡슐이 가서 닿는 거죠. 이 작품에서도 작가님이 굉장히 다양한 인물의 내면을 보여주면서 또 모로코의 굉장히 격변하는 시대 상황을 잘 보여주셨습니다. 이번에 디아스포라 문학상 심사위원장께서 이런 말씀을 하셨는데요. 작가님께서 매우 다양한 문학 세계를 그동안 보여주시면서도 작품 전반에 이제 고통의 항존이라는 일관된 정서가 흐른다, 이런 평가를 심사평으로 주셨습니다. 작가님의 타인들의 나라를 포함해서 그동안의 문학 작품 세계 전반에 영감을 받은 어떤 방법까지는 아니더라도 어디서 어떻게 시작되는지 작품들이 그런 창작 활동의 영감의 시작을 먼저 여쭤보고 싶어요.
You know, it's a mystery, and it's a mystery to me. I don't really know, and I try not to think too much about it, because I think that if I try to know how it comes, it will not come anymore. And I think that it's very important when you are an artist, a writer or something else, to embrace also the part of magic of your work and the part of mystery. I don't really know what I do when I write, you know, I write in the dark, and I don't really know where I go. I don't really know how the book will look like at the end. And very often when I publish a book, 1 or 2 weeks after the publication, when I open the book and I read some sentences, I'm always asking myself, but who wrote this book? When did it happen? It's something, yeah, quite magic, like if it was another person into me that was writing the book. I really believe that. I really believe that, and it's something that was said way longer before me, but I believe that Marcel Proust is not the one who writes the book, or I mean, Marcel is not Proust, or James is not Joyce. Writers are always double. There is someone else inside of you who has this ability sometimes where you are very, very focused to come and to tell the story and to be inspired. But I want to keep the mystery and the clandestinity around this person. I don't want to know who is this second self, so yeah, just try to protect it. So no, I don't know where the inspiration comes. I know that at one point I become obsessed with an idea, and this idea obsessed me, and once the idea begins to obsess me, the idea becomes a color, and then the color becomes a music, and the music becomes a language. And then it's like a little movie in front of me with the music, the language, the characters, the dress. You know, I think I write a little bit like a cinema director. I have the casting and then the sets, and then I just take my camera and I shoot.
굉장히 좋은 카메라를 가지고 계시는 작가님인 것 같아요. 현재 포르투갈에서 사신다고 들었습니다. 이제 포르투갈은 작가님께도 이제 또 다른 타이틀의 나라이지 않나라는 생각이 드는데, 포르투갈에서의 삶은 좀 어떠신지 궁금하고, 타이틀의 나라에서는 또 어떤 경험을 하고 계신지도 여쭤보고 싶어요.
Oh, I love living in Portugal. I live in Lisbon, so I live in the middle between my two countries, between Morocco and France. So very easy to go to Morocco, very easy to go to France. What I love is that I live near the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and I was born and raised near the Atlantic Ocean. So I like that, being closer to nature than I was when I was living in Paris. And it's a very slow life. People are very nice. My children are very happy there. They speak Portuguese, and I think they feel very good there. And I travel a lot, so what is good is that when I'm in my house in Portugal, I can really focus on my writing. I'm not bothered by all the obligation you have when you are a writer in Paris and people calling you to go out and do this and do that. So I can say no all the time, and I love to say no.
작가님이 쓰신 책 중에 미술관에 하루 갇혀서 있었던 경험에 대해서 쓰신 것도 있었는데, 약간 이제 포르투갈의 자발적 은둔을 하시면서 작품을 쓰시는 것 같네요. 굉장히 부럽습니다. 그리고 모로코와 파리의 중간 지점에서 살고 있다라는 것도 참 의미심장하게 느껴지긴 하는데요. 그러면은 지금은 어떤 작품 집필 중이신지, 그리고 이제 저희가 타인들의 나라 3부작으로 기획된 책의 두 번째, 세 번째 권은 이제 한국에서 아직 못 읽고 있는데, 어떤 글 쓰고 계시는지, 어디에 집중하고 계시는지 여쭤보고 싶어요.
Yeah, so I published the last part of the trilogy a few months ago, so now I'm very much focused on the promotion internationally, so I will be traveling until September next year in many countries for the translation of the book, and I'm very happy because I love to travel, I love to meet my publishers, my translators, and it's always a very funny and very a very interesting experience to do those promotional tours. And I will publish a new book in France in March. It's a book about language. It's an essay that was actually that I wrote for the Festival d'Avignon last year about language, because I was raised in a multilingual family. My grandmother would speak German, my mother French, my father Spanish. I would speak Arabic also with my grandmother, and Berber. And in Morocco it was like this. But the more I became an adult, the more I lost some of those languages. And when I arrived in France, at the end there were only French. So I talk about this, about language, about also what happened to the Arabic language, because since September 11, Arabic language has a very bad image. People have a very bad vision of Arab, especially in Western countries. Or when people hear Arabic in the street, they always have a very weird reaction, and it's a language that is difficult to transmit, I think, also because of that, because this sense of shame. Of course, I learned Portuguese now that I live in Portugal, so I talk about this, about my journey with language.
네, 굉장히 다양한 언어를 사용하는 그 문화에서 커가셨고, 그리고 지금도 그렇게 쓰시고 계실 텐데, 언어에 대한 에세이가 한국에도 꼭 번역이 되었으면 좋겠습니다. 어떤 언어를 쓰냐에 따라 그 사고방식 자체가 달라질 수밖에 없잖아요. 그 경험하는 어떤 그 세계의 디테일들이 달라지기 때문에 너무 저도 기대가 되고, 타인들의 나라 3부작도 빨리 한국어로 읽어보고 싶습니다. 오늘 작가님하고 이제 짧게 정해진 시간 내에 가능한 한 많은 이야기를 해보려고 했는데요. 제가 이제 질문을 다 못 드린 것 중에 여기 와주신 독자분들께서 대신 질문을 좀 해주시면 좋겠는데 제 질문이 끝나기 전에 네, 손 들어주신 선생님 질문 부탁드립니다. 마이크 드릴게요. 간단하게 자기소개 해주시고 질문해 주시면 감사하겠습니다.
조금 있으면 끝날 것 같아서요. 저는 한국작가회의 부천 지부장을 맡고 있는 간호윤이라고 합니다. 전공은 고전문학입니다. 지금 그 모로코의 그 식민시대와 우리 식민시대가 아주 유사합니다. 그리고 모로코에는 수피즘이라는 게 있습니다. 근데 지금 그 작가님의 그 작품의 세계를 보면 정체성, 계급, 여성, 욕망, 사회적 억압 등을 중심으로 하고 있습니다. 아까도 이제 질문하셨듯이 글을 쓰는 작가에게는 작가의 의식이라는 것이 있습니다. 일종의 영감의 시작이라고 할 수가 있지요. 그 모로코의 그 식민시대의 경험과 그 모로코의 스피니즘이 어떻게 지금 작가님에게 영향을 미쳤는지, 영감의 시작은 어떻게 됐는지 참 궁금하고, 하나만 더 묻겠습니다. 그 양말에 글이 사진인지가 누구신가요? 참 궁금하네요. 두 가지 질문입니다.
It's Marcel Proust. The famous Marcel. Yeah, that's like a sort of God for writers. I have God on my socks. About colonialism, you know what is very strange is that when I arrived in France, there was, at the beginning there was no conversation about colonialism. It was a taboo in France. No one was talking about colonialism. Very difficult to have this conversation, and it was always very tense when a political party was trying to talk about this. But the truth is that it was also a taboo in Morocco. People in Morocco, they don't want to talk about colonialism. My grandparents, they didn't like to talk about this because for them it was a time of humiliation. It was bad memories and they didn't really like to tell us a story. So when I began the book, I understood that I knew very few about colonialism and that it would take me a lot of time to know more about the reality of colonization. What I mean is that, of course, I can read a lot of historical books and understand what happened and what France decided and Morocco and political parties and all this. But what is difficult when you write a novel is that you need to go inside the house. You need to understand the intimacy of people. You need to understand when this big event happened, this event that you can find in a historical book. What happened behind the doors? How people talked about it at the time? How did they take sides or did not take sides? So I questioned a lot of people. I interviewed people from my family. I interviewed people in the city of my grandparents in Meknes, and it was very difficult. It was very difficult for them to remember this. And my own mother, when I think my mother at the beginning, she said, "Oh, I don't really remember. It was not that bad," and she was trying to avoid the conversation. And then I think probably because she didn't want to appear to me as a victim and because she's very proud. But at the end, she said that it was horrible for her because she was mixed race. My mother, she is she has a very clear skin, but she has hair like me, like this, and so physically she looked very different from her friends. And her friends at school would always mock her and make fun of her because of her hair, because her father was an Arab, and she had no friend whose father was an Arab, and they would say when my grandfather come to school to get her, they would say, "Oh, the driver came, your driver." And she would say, "He's not a driver, he's my father." So yeah, it took like 37 years or 38 years, because it was the age I began this book, for my mother to tell me about her childhood. So yeah, that's how I understood how that the grief is still here, the pain is still here, and how important it is to have this conversation. And when the book was published, so many friends of mine told me, you know, after reading the book, I realized that I've never had this conversation with my grandparents. So they decided to go back to them and ask them questions. So I'm very happy about that, about the idea that maybe this is an opportunity to ask questions. But I also think that decolonizing means making it possible to avoid any kind of hatred. Someone asked me, what does it mean for you to be decolonized? And I said, it's being without hate. If you hate, you're still colonized, because you're still under the pressure of the people who used to dominate you. Now I don't feel nor hate nor gratitude. I feel equality, French people, Moroccan people, and now we all have our destiny. But I think that's what I try to write in this trilogy, that at the end it's possible not to hate each other.
네, 아마 질문에 답이 되었을 것 같은데요. 혹시 또 질문하시고 싶은 분이 계실까요? 네, 마이크 드리겠습니다.
네, 한국문예협회 부천지부장 최송미입니다. 제가 책을 읽다가 일단 수상을 축하드립니다. 문장 중에 아이사를 멍거리 학교에 입학시키던 날 들판의 강아람과 언덕의 고요함밖에 모르는 자연 그대로의 아이를 두고 갈 것이다, 이런 내용이 있었어요. 그랬더니 마틸드가 차에서 내리지 않으려는 아이사에게 괜찮다고 하는 장면이 뷰가 상당히 섬뜩했습니다. 제가 읽을 때는 거기는 농장의 일꾼들이 짐승들을 죽이기에 앞서 괜찮다고 달랠 때의 표정이라고 표현을 했는데요. 이런 비유는 어떻게 나오게 됐는지 궁금합니다.
You know, I don't even remember this metaphor. You know, that's what's beautiful with writing. It's you begin to write a chapter, and so at the beginning you just know that the character is here, he has to go there, and there is a relationship between two. And how can I tell you? It's like you begin to run. And at the beginning it's difficult and you don't feel very good, and at one point you're just running and your body is feeling so good and you don't think anymore, you're just so happy and so, you know, satisfied with the running. And I think writing is like this. The best images you find are the one that you are not overthinking, the one that comes in the flow of writing. So it's just that I imagine those two women in this farm that I know so well, and I feel that they live very, very close to nature. So of course the comparison with an animal is natural. I can't really tell you, and that's what I was saying before. If I begin to analyze myself and try to understand how I found metaphor, I think it will be it's a very bad advice for myself, because I think that then metaphor will become very artificial. It's like when you are walking on a string. If you look the floor, you will fall. So I try not to look to the floor. I look, as far as I can, because I don't want to fall.
네, 질문이 많으실 것 같은데 저희가 뒤에 아시다시피 사인회가 예정이 되어 있어서 여기서 토크는 마무리를 해야 되지 않을까 싶고요. 작가님 아직 하지 못하신 말씀이 있으시면 해주셔도 좋고, 아니면 오늘 자리 마무리 인사 부탁을 드리겠습니다.
No, just thank you so much, and I was very happy to have this conversation with you. And it's I was very interested also by the comparison you made about colonialism and things like that. So I think it's something I'm going to read about and try to find those bridges. I think it's very, very interesting. I haven't thought about it before coming, but I had an exchange of emails with the author of Pachinko, and because I'm writing now the adaptation for TV, so I was asking her advice, and actually we found a lot of things in common between our work, and I was very interested in the way also she works with the past of the same family and through the point of view of different characters. So it's very interesting. Thank you.
네, 오늘 함께 해주신 작가님께 큰 박수 작가님께도 감사드리고, 바쁘신 와중에 함께 해주신 여러분께도 감사드립니다.